Chapter 4, Foreign Films. Let's get into Rust and Bone, which came out in 2012, directed by Jacques Cotillard. Sorry if I butchered that name. Sure I did. Stars Marion Cotillard and Matthias Schoenaerts, Celine Sillette. Not a lot of big names. And the synopsis is, put in charge of his young son, Alain leaves Belgium for Antibes, sorry if I'm butchering those titles, to live with his sister and her husband as a family. Elaine's bond with Stephanie, a killer whale trainer, grows deeper after Stephanie suffers a horrible accident. This came out around the time when I was just starting to get into movies that were not just blockbusters. I was really starting to study film. I was about to go to film school. And I believe I saw this one for the first time maybe 2013, 2014, when I was getting into international films. And I love international films. And if you are not someone who have seen many of those, I encourage you to seek those out. Marion Cotillard, probably saw her first in Public Enemies, maybe Inception. I love her. I think she is so underrated. She's amazing. Matthias Schoenaerts is someone who didn't love him when he first started out. I think he was maybe a little too, I don't want to say this in a bad way because it's not a bad thing inherently, but he sort of has that effortless style in a way. He's usually very stern and stoic, and since then, I've grown to really, really enjoy him. I think he's an awesome character actor, and he is really, really good in this. But Marion Cotillard, in my opinion, is the best. This movie is not one for everyone. It's quite, not grim, but it's very depressing at times because Matthias Schoenaerts is someone who is taking care of his young son, and he's trying to make it in the world of kickboxing and fighting, and that's really all he knows and knows how to do well. And he's struggling to get by and make money and also make a good impression and raise his son well in the time that he has with him. But the real big thing, spoiler here, the big moment in the movie where Marion Cotillard's character wakes up after the accident and she has no legs, or at least her legs were amputated above the knee, I'm pretty sure is horrifying and shocking, because she has that wail of like, where are my legs? Where are my legs? And that moment, because you don't know that's coming necessarily. You know, she was in an accident, but you're like, oh, she probably just broke her arm or whatever. Nope, she lost both of her legs and she didn't know she was losing them until she wakes up, which is pretty horrifying to think about if that was you. So that's a incredible acting moment right there. But the relationship between the two of them is very touching and thoughtful and unconventional in a lot of ways, because he's this fighter. She is the exact opposite of him in a lot of ways. And she really questions why he does what he does. And those conversations are very interesting and really puts people in the spotlight and say, hey, why are you doing this? Why do you want to fight? Why do you want to kickbox? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? And then he'll ask her the same things, and at least in some ways. And so those conversations are really great. One of my favorite moments is where after she's lost her legs and they've gotten together in terms of not necessarily a romance, but a partnership or friendship, where she is carried out to the ocean by Matthias, and she's so self-conscious at first, and she's so worried about other people looking at her and all that in terms of her feeling embarrassed or whatever it might be. And then he picks her up and carries her to the water. And that's a really sweet, touching moment where she has a little bit of freedom and peace and calm. And she thinks she's found someone who still looks at her the same way no matter what. And I really, really like that moment. The sequence towards the end with the frozen lake and Matthias and his son is really intense and scary, because, you know, the son falls through the ice and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to spoil too much in case you haven't seen it. But as I was saying, the romance itself is quite interesting, because at first, when they start getting intimate, she's like, I don't want to kiss you because I don't want us to get more feelings for each other. And then later on, she lets up. I guess I am spoiling a lot here. Sorry. But it's a really good movie, not one that you can just throw on. It's not a romantic comedy or 50 Shades of Grey or anything like that. It's very real, grounded, not dark necessarily, but very serious and emotionally draining movie, but in good ways to me. It's not one I want to rewatch very frequently, but every time I watch it, and I've seen it twice now, I believe, I really, really enjoyed it both times. And even after that first viewing, it really stuck with me. And I hadn't watched it until just recently, probably for about 10 years. And it really did stick with me. Most of the movie did. So I really encourage people to watch it. Just be in the right mood, be in the right mindset. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And no matter what, those two lead performances are worth watching just for that reason. So I highly encourage you to check it out. That one is a 4 out of 5.